Welcome to the Complaince-Aid App tutorial available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Let's go ahead and navigate through this amazing application for cybersecurity professionals. This is for ISOs, Information System Security Officers, assessors, and security analysts mainly. This also can be utilized as a reference for system owners and any technical folks alike that have to go through security control assessments. So first, I'm going to start with access control. Since it is the longest family, select FISMA. Select moderate because the moderate baseline is the most commonly used baseline in most environments. I'm going to click on AC2 since it is the longest control of all of the controls throughout all of the control families. Here you will have the plain language explanation, which is basically a breakdown or a summary of the description. You have your personal notes. I'm going to start there where you can write notes during the assessment. You have your description right outside of NIST 853 Revision 5. You have your discussion, which, of course, like I mentioned before, is your plain language, but in long form right out of NIST 853 Revision 5. Then you have your related controls so that you're not guessing on what the related controls are. They're right here for you at your fingertips. Then you have the goal of the control. The goal of the control is what's set so you know what the goal is to satisfy this particular control. Next, now down to the juicy part, the implementation statement. First, we start with the implementation statement questions. These are questions that you're going to ask your system administrators, network administrators, system owners, or engineers, or any stakeholders that would be points of contact for AC2. Then you have your implementation statement example. You can utilize this example either as your reference or you can utilize it and basically replace the technologies if this matches up with your environment, which this should match up with most environments. For example, with the technologies, see if Intra ID is used for account creation and lifecycle management. If not, find out what is used for account creation and lifecycle management and just replace Intra ID. Go through and find all of the technologies and replace those technologies to satisfy the control. Also, for inactive accounts, disable after 30 days of inactivity. Ensure that for that organization, it is 30 days of inactivity. If it is not, it should be less than 30 days of inactivity. If it is more, then it should not be in compliance unless policy of that organization states different. Ensure to read your policies and procedures for that organization as well, which is going to be all of your Dash 1 controls, as you know, as cybersecurity professionals. Now, I'm going to move on to suggested artifacts. Here are the suggested artifacts that you're going to collect so that you are ready for when the assessors come in. And these are just for AC2. Every single control would have the suggested artifacts. Now we're going to go to assessment interview questions. If you're an ISO, Information System Security Officer, or Security Analyst, these are questions that you have answered and ready because these are most likely the questions that are going to be asked by the assessor. For assessors, here's a breakdown of the questions that you should be asking to satisfy this particular control. Now let's go ahead and go to risk information. This is the risk information that is set by NIST so that you do not have to worry about what your if then statement should be if the control fails or not fail. So you're going to write in your if then statement, and then you have your likelihood, your impact, and your risk exposure already set for you, and your moderate, high, moderate here for AC2. These are all in accordance with the NIST 853 standards. And then we're going to go to baseline applicability. Here's your baseline applicabilities, and this is for FISMA, FedRAMP, and SCADA. Of course, we had select FISMA this time, so this is the baseline applicability for FISMA baseline. So for AC2, if you're doing a low baseline, a moderate baseline, or a high baseline, AC2 is part of all of those baselines. There are going to be some controls that it's not going to be part of the high baseline. There's going to be some controls that it may not be part of the moderate baseline, but make sure you check each control. But this is in accordance with NIST 853, Revision 5, 853A, and 853B. If you have any questions, any other questions about the Complaince-Aid app, please go ahead and ask, and we will ensure to answer your questions in the comments or post another tutorial.